Are you ready? I said, are you ready? Nation, I said, are you ready for the Survivor Series WrestleSpecial, where we are celebrating The Undertaker. 30 years of destruction. As, I'm just gonna vamp here because Chris is still, not ready. Yep, there you go. Wow. That would have been great if it was, 2 seconds back.
Blame it on production, bitch.
Yeah.
Which is me. So, yeah.
Exactly.
Kevin Dunn in the back.
Kevin Dumb.
More
like it.
This isn't the Kevin Dunn podcast, all right? God forbid we'll have a Kevin Dunn podcast.
Never.
This is an Undertaker podcast. This is a special Undertaker podcast.
Absolutely.
Survivor Series, we peaked with Survivor Series podcasts last year's WrestleSpecial. Ain't gonna get any better from what I remember about that podcast. That was a good podcast, though. We did a fantasy dream team.
It was
Survivor
something.
Series. It was something.
It was. Yeah. I wouldn't say any of our podcasts are good.
That was a special one. That was a special WrestleSpecial. But this is an extra special WrestleSpecial because we're not talking about the matches. We're not talking about the event. We're talking about the man, the myth, the legend, the future Hall of Famer, Mark Red Booger, whatever they called him early. The Undertaker. We're talking about The Undertaker. I don't know. They called him some weird shit.
Like some WCW bullshit.
It actually was. But we're not talking about that because he made his debut November 22nd. Thank you, sir. November 22nd, 1990.
Man.
At Survivor Series.
I was a wee lad. I was 10 years old.
There you go. All right. I was 5, but
yeah,
whatever. And we are celebrating 30 years of The Undertaker.
Absolutely.
Much like the world is right now. Mark Calloway's been doing interviews on Hot Ones. He's got a $1,000 cameo. He opened up a TikTok. Kayfabe is dead. And Mark Calloway lives, I guess.
Hey, you know what? The man's got to make money still. So,
yeah, you know what? He's got to pay me, bitch. So let's talk about The Undertaker, man.
Undertaker, if you do want to have a very good interview, you can hit the RudeBoyz up at RudeBoyz469 at gmail.com.
No, that's wrong. RudeBoyz6969 at gmail.com. We couldn't lock down that 469.
Oh, no? Oh, shit. All right.
So I had to get extra naughty.
So, yeah, extra naughty, Undertaker, and we will give you the best interview you've ever had in your career.
Yeah. I mean, Sean Evans is one thing from Hot Ones. We tip our hat off to you, but, I mean, we got some notes for you, Shawnee boy, all right?
Exactly. Learn something.
So, Undertaker, 30 years. Let's talk about it, Tom. I came in later, wrestling-wise.
Right.
What are some Undertaker memories you have this time period? We're going to break it down kind of by time period for the Undertaker.
I actually do remember watching the 1990 Survivor Series.
Okay, so his
debut. When he debuted and,
as part of the $1 Million team or whatever.
Yeah.
They called Ted DiBiase's team that time.
I just watched it again because I'm trying to do a Survivor Series and I'm failing miserably. And just, Piper's reaction. Look at that ham hock!
Look at the size of that ham hock!
He's just, it's just...
Roddy.
He just, he came in and he towered over everyone. Even Hogan, who was the biggest star at the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Towered over fucking
Hogan. And then
Hogan.
A year later, wins the title via shenanigans, because nobody can go over Hulk Hogan clean.
Yeah, exactly.
I saw a What Culture video of all the times Hulk Hogan has lost. He's only lost clean 12 times.
Really?
Yeah, and most of those are from Sting. Some with Flair, Taker twice.
Okay.
For the title. But then they go on how shenanigan-y it was, But anyway, it's not the Hulk Hogan podcast.
Never will be.
Never will be, apparently, thanks to Tom. So he wins the title early in his career. A year to the day.
Yeah.
Ish.
Just
year to the time period.
Yeah, I mean, Brother Love was his manager. Mm-hmm. When he first came in, it wasn't always Paul Bearer like many people believe.
No, correct. Which, sidebar, the Paul Bearer documentary on the WWE Network, everybody should check that out.
Okay.
WWE Network has done, I think, a pretty good job with all the Undertaker
celebrating
stuff they're doing. Yeah, like the Brothers of Destruction doc, the Paul Bearer thing, The Last Ride. They're doing another Stone Cold podcast thingy with the Undertaker right after Survivor Series. So, but anyway, Paul Bearer, a huge part of the Undertaker's character, the mystique.
Yes.
I mean, the way I never saw how they did that. They did like the quote unquote, I guess, transfer of power between Brother Love and Paul Bearer, and the way they did it was so cornball. It was like, what's your name? And it's like, Bearer, Paul Bearer, like, ah! Like, get it? Haha. To be fair, I only knew of Paul Bearer before I knew the word Paul Bearer, so I was like, oh, I get it. So, but anyway, super over. Obviously, the character just is one thing. That was this time period, again, in WWF where everyone had a gimmick. Everyone had a job. You know, you had garbage men and clowns and this guy and that guy. This guy does your taxes. But I think because of the horror aspects of this character, it worked.
Yeah.
And it never really kind of hit until characters like Mankind or Kane
Kamala.
or even like Kamala.
You know, like when he's like when you see Undertaker just like, you know, making the coffin for Kamala and he's cutting a promo the whole time.
A zombie mortician gravedigger.
No, he was a zombie Undertaker.
Yeah, but he was making. I don't think Undertakers also make caskets.
Maybe in the South they do, which is where he's.
Oh, he was also like
usually.
Cowboy. Also, like a little bit,
right.
It was a very nebulous thing, but he made it work. Mark Calloway
absolutely
made that shit work. And I'm assuming Vince also, but whatever.
A lot. I think a lot of that was on Mark Calloway.
Sure. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he made it work, baby.
Absolutely.
But early in that career, though, we reached out to some members of the RudeNation, the WrestleFuckBoyz. You might have heard of them. Some of the highlights of that era. I use highlights a little loosely because I think it's a little silly, but
sure.
I mean, you're cheering for a undead zombie man, so who cares? The Undertaker vs. Undertaker match, I believe '94 SummerSlam.
Yep.
A very hype match because even I, as a non-wrestling fan, knew about that. I knew of three things actually. I knew of the Ultimate Warrior just because. I knew that Yokozuna sat on people and murdered them.
Okay.
Because, and I knew of the Undertaker versus Undertaker match.
Right. Okay.
A lot of it had to do with the Leslie Nielsen goofball.
Looking for him.
Yeah. Naked Gun shit. But they really pushed that stuff out, so even a non-fan was like, oh, I know what's going on here.
I mean, I forget what year Survivor Series it was that Undertaker comes... He comes back.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was he might have been facing Kane. I could be wrong. I could be really. I think I'm really fucking wrong. But he's wearing the mask, like he's wearing because his face got broken. Actually, he was facing Yokozuna actually because Yokozuna broke his face.
Well, technically Mabel broke his face. I mean, physically
I'm
broke.
Sorry,
I don't know.
It was Mabel. It was Mabel. Yes, because the match was against Mabel. My bad. And they were like, hey, he's wearing a tombstone on his face. And I'm just like...
Broken orbital bone. Gotta fucking
I'm patch it up, there, baby. And I'm like, all right. And then the following year, he was facing Kane, and that's when he came down as, like, the Bat. From the...
He did do that,
He came down as the Bat, and that's when he started wearing, like, the peasant shirt, and, like, you know...
So we're kind of transitioning into a new Undertaker.
Yeah.
Like
darker,
second form Undertaker. This is kind of where...
Wasn't Undertaker Kane?
No, Undertaker was... Oh, God. His, like, fucking cousin or some shit.
Okay.
It's not like Bryan Adams. It was some guy. I don't remember the dude's name.
Bryan Adams, like the guy who did the song for Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves?
No, I'm talking about...
Atom Bomb.
I'm talking about that guy.
Oh, okay.
It's not him.
Really?
But he was the other member of Chronic.
Okay. I
forget.
I didn't know that.
It's something. There's some sort of relation.
Okay. Interesting.
Blood relation, marriage relation. I don't know.
Okay.
It's kinda a Hulk Hogan, Horace Hogan thing. I think.
And kind of like Piper, Bret Hart.
Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah. Okay.
Don't quote me to that. I am uneducated as fuck.
Never knew that.
But now we're
I kind of enjoyed the darker Undertaker.
I agree. Yes.
I really did enjoy the whole, like, you know, a lot of people, you know,
like the Ministry of Darkness.
Ministry of Darkness, the cult leader type thing.
So this version of Undertaker, though, it definitely got more popular.
Yeah.
Was in a real weird transition period for the WWF.
Right.
Because Hogan left. By that time, Nash was coming up and then peaking and then left. Same thing with Razor. Brett was kind of coming up.
All the shit was happening with Brett.
Well, sure, yeah, but like even like coming up, there's a lot of shit with fucking Shawn Michaels at that time. But like WWF had legit competition with WCW at that time. So a guy like Undertaker became that measuring stick, became that locker room leader out of necessity. He was the guy who you could base your show around, but they didn't. And I know that was a point of contention in like one of the early work shoot promos, brother, when he came out in the sweats and stuff. I think there was at Nassau Coliseum. Actually.
How he was just like, all your golden boys have left, Vince.
Exactly. Yes.
He's like, and I'm still here for you.
Sure.
Like, apparently he was like the judge. In backstage.
Wrestle Court, yes. Because again, he was that guy. He's like the Godfather. He was, I'm sure back in the day it could have been Andre, and now it was Taker. Nowadays, Lord, I guess maybe I don't even know.
I hate to say Orton.
Orton has probably the longest career and is still in the locker room at that time. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm sure he likes to take a step away with his family and whatnot.
Sure.
But he would fit in that role absolutely, as almost like the head cheese of the whole thing.
I mean, I think there are guys who will be picking up that reign. Like I can honestly see Drew McIntyre picking that up.
I'd say Roman do that too.
Yeah, Drew and Roman I think are the two, which is
ironic because they're
ironic, which is what's happening on as per recording
today. Well, I'll put this out on the day of.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Undertaker was the guy that he was just kind of like, hey, look, this is, if you have any disputes, shit that happened out on the road, you had to appear before Undertaker and his court.
Exactly, yes.
And I think I have a DVD where they actually do talk about like some of the rulings. I can't.
They talk about that on the Last Ride documentary also. But let's talk about like just the man at the time too. This was definitely, like I said, a transition period. Getting into the Attitude Era. Maybe we'll include Attitude Era in this talk as well. First Hell in the Cell match. Yeah. Which I know is a big came up a lot in our little Wrestle Fuckboys Discord server. That was big at the time. Obviously, that was going hand in hand with, I think, one of the best storylines WWE has ever done, which is just having Kane. Yeah. I'm a Kane mark, like deep down, but having that build, especially after Undertaker goes through his Monsters of the Week in the sense of the Executioner and stuff like that, and like guys that didn't hit, guys like Vader who didn't get a fair shake, and few and far between guys like Mankind who actually made something past the Undertaker feud. But having a guy like Kane, and like I said, they talk about this in the Brothers of Destruction documentary, or however you want to call it, feature. That he was kind of only to come in just to face Taker, just to keep him warm until Mania, and it just turned out that, because of the build-up and because you had these two mythical characters, that's why Kane is, he's not around anymore, but, he's still relevant.
I mean, and just real quick, like, the way Taker can move.
Especially at this time? Absolutely.
As a almost 7-foot dude.
Sure. Three something.
Three something, easily.
Okay. We'll carny it up,
Jumping over ropes.
Yeah. Agile as fuck,
walking the ropes. And I think I told you, he has one of my favorite, like, flying clotheslines. Like, where he just, like, turns, midair,
This was definitely, like, I think you saw a little more agility out of Taker at this point, because you saw a little more humanity. Outside of the whole, rest in peace, shaving off caskets in the fucking 80s, early 90s, I'm thinking of the era, early 90s, you saw a little more pizzazz out of him, because you probably needed that when you're wrestling smaller dudes like Shawn Michaels or
Bret Hart,
or even wrestling big dudes trying to get them off their feet, like Giant Gonzalez. Yes, again, Monster of the Week that didn't really click. But then you were talking about you were talking about the Ministry of Darkness. Yeah, I liked that because
so did I.
It was a evolution of the character to its conclusion, you know what I mean? Like, because he was a devil, Satan man. Yep. It would just make him fucking the Satan worshiper. It was fucking cornball as hell.
Oh, absolutely.
It was probably
And then when Vince got involved,
shoulder to shoulder. Oh god, it was shoulder to shoulder with all the nonsense going on in the Attitude Era.
Yeah,
you know, with fucking Kai and Tai gonna cut off
Val Venus's penis.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. It was just like cornball shit like that, but I dug that because it was like, whoa, okay, something's going on here. Actually, the higher power stuff, they never really kicked around who it was gonna be, and we talked about this off air, but they were throwing names around like Christopher Daniels might have been called in to do this. Jake the Snake, which I thought would have been a perfect fit, especially feuding with Austin and stuff like that. But Vince, classic Vince, was just like, nah, fuck it, I'll do it myself.
Fuck it, I gotta do it.
And then there you go, and we'll just, write it in later, which is what they did.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Ministry of Darkness, and then that's pretty much where that character, at that point, I say peaked. But we'll get to that. We'll move American Badass. I think a proper reinvention of the character.
Absolutely.
And he'll say that as much.
And that is...
Because it allowed him to talk, allowed him to revitalize the brand of The Undertaker.
Yeah, he liked the character, but he didn't like the character because it was a little too close... At that time, it was a little too close to his actual life. Yeah.
But I mean, I think that's what you get the best out of people, is when they're... Like guys like Austin, guys like The Rock, they're able to do what they do to the best of their ability because they just turn up their personality.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I mean, if Taker's a fucking, biker guy, fuck it. Yeah,
be a
biker guy.
He had
kick some ass.
He had some of the most vicious matches at this point.
Oh, absolutely, yes. I mean, he had feuds with fucking Cena, feuds with
Angle,
feuds with Lesnar, feuds with Big Show.
His feud with Lesnar was one of the bloodiest times in Undertaker's career.
Yeah, I agree. I would say Lesnar probably took it to Taker
absolutely
harder than anybody else has.
Yeah, that Hell in
that era.
Yeah, and that Hell in a Cell match, the way it ended was like,
it was fucking ridiculous.
I mean, one of my favorite matches during this time was what the hell did they call it? Where it was the six guys in the Hell in a Cell, where it was
Armageddon Hell in a Cell.
Yeah, and he throws Rikishi off into the bale of hay, and I don't know. I know it's cheesy as hell, but like that match, I don't know, because you got Taker, Austin, The Rock, Angle, you
had a lot of talent.
Yeah, a lot, and then Rikishi.
Yeah. Sorry, Rikishi, Hall of Famer, but
yeah. But, and then, that was, the beginning of, Deadman Inc.
Yeah,
Undertaker.
Badass, Deadman Inc.
Yeah.
This is my yard, Big Evil, that whole era.
Yo, his match with Flair.
Oh, Flair at WrestleMania 18.
Yeah. Is that the one?
That was the one, yeah. So,
where Arn Anderson is Final Fantasy 7
so Flair comes in with a match with Taker. It's kind of nondescript. I mean, when you think Flair vs. Taker, fuck yeah, sign me up. It's not, I mean, that's the same pay-per-view with Rock Hogan, so, everything kind of gets dwarfed. But Arn Anderson shows up out of nowhere, a double-A spine busts Taker, and it's fantastic. Yeah. That's my favorite part. I'm a big spine buster mark.
Absolutely. That's how I am a DDT one.
Yeah, exactly. Other match that came up during this time was, I think one of the better Raw main events is Taker versus Jeff Hardy in a ladder match.
Yes. For the world title.
WWE Championship, yes. Again, he beat Hulk Hogan for it. Go figure.
Yeah.
He then comes down, he's a heel at the time. Jeff, gives him the underdog, the biggest heart in the room sort of thing.
Yeah.
Taker comes down to whip his ass again, but actually, gives him props.
Yeah.
And huge moment, man. I thought that was
that did so much for Jeff Hardy's career right there.
I agree, yeah.
Right there.
It legitimized him, and that's what Undertaker is. Watching these documentaries and then understanding it or watching it for years and decades as a wrestling fan, you see that Undertaker, when he wins, it's like, yeah, all right, he won. That's great. He's my boy. When someone else beats him, though, it legitimizes that person.
Yeah.
For better or worse, there's moments where it doesn't hit. But when he loses a feud with Lesnar, like we were just talking about, or when he goes toe to toe with Kane, it makes these guys bigger stars.
Yeah.
And that's what that did for Jeff Hardy.
Absolutely.
And they didn't pull the trigger with him at that point, but I think that was this guy can go. He's in.
Sure. Yeah.
I
mean, and then it always throws me off that like when he was feuding with Austin, like.
At what point?
Well, like just
when he was
in general, just like two brawlers always having like okay matches. Like
sure.
I mean, granted, like their match at Madison Square Garden at SummerSlam wasn't that great,
right? Yeah,
because they were both hungover apparently.
Well, I think Taker actually clonked him a little bit, and he got a little woozy.
Well, the night
before got a little woozy, and you were saying
the night before, like, because that's on the Austin documentary. He's like, yeah, we were out drinking the night before, so we were both so hungover that we were like, don't want to do this.
Sure, yeah.
So like, but yeah, no, you're right. He did.
But that was a huge match at that time too. That was the Highway to Hell, SummerSlam.
Yep.
At Madison Square Garden.
But yeah,
for the title.
Yeah, I mean, he's just always just been like one of my top favorites of all time.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, I agree. So he goes into the American Badass transformation, and that pretty much ends at a Survivor Series. Was it the one we're watching right now? 2003? I think it is. That's the live match. I think it is. Yeah.
Couldn't tell you. It's
the network kind of crapped out.
It stopped when Coach Man was talking to Mark Cuban.
All right. Well, which pretty much where my interest dropped anyway. Exactly. So that's fine. But he comes back. Yeah. WrestleMania 20, Madison Square Garden, as the Deadman again. Yes. And he famously
more like a cowboy Deadman.
Right. Yeah. He famously did not want to go back because he thought that was a character regression. But I think he still maintained a lot of the American Badass persona. Yeah. But was covered in the
he was an evil
Undertaker
cowboy.
Stuff. I guess. Yeah.
That's the way I look at it. That's how you call it.
And I know I said the Ministry of Darkness was kind of like peak Undertaker. I feel like this era, though, is like not really final form, but this is peak Undertaker. This is also like when Shawn Michaels kind of like peaked. I think that this Undertaker, though, that we see with like the you call it a singlet? I don't know what you call it.
Yeah.
But like, it's kind of a singlet, a double arm singlet, the pants. He comes in with the coat and the hat.
The gloves.
The MMA gloves. He's fucking like a brick shithouse, man. He's fucking like built like he's like
look at that ham hock.
He's like if you try to like date his daughter and he answers the door, you're shitting yourself, my man. Like that's it. Obviously he's the Undertaker, but even if he showed up in a fucking cowboy hat and a fucking
and a polo
jean jacket and a polo, you would shit yourself because he's a fucking ripped to shit.
He's the Undertaker. And he's the Undertaker.
Yeah, he comes out in a casket, flaming casket. Yes.
Yeah.
But
that's how he ends.
That's how you do. You knock on the door.
He's holding a flaming casket.
This is what you knock the door. The porch lights drop. You hear oh, the Halo music comes out. The Druids with the casket.
Nice.
Uncle Paul Bearer comes out with the urn. Gong. Yeah, that's and then you're like, can I date your daughter? And then you get tombstoned. But this Undertaker,
by the way, Vince is the Vince allowed Undertaker to be one of the only ones to still use the pile driver.
Use a pile driver, a variation thereof. Yeah, no, because I mean he's done it successfully.
He doesn't break people's necks.
Sure. Yeah, I mean Kane the same way too. But Kane, honestly, he's more things to choke slam.
Exactly.
Yes. And obviously Taker has the last ride. Yeah. Again, another reinvention of the American Badass persona. Yep. And the fucking devil triangle. Yeah. Whatever, brother. And then MMA. And then when the best pure striker in WWE today.
And then when two people tried to use a pile driver on an episode of Raw, they got fined when they got backstage.
Yeah, well, what are you gonna do? But they use a pile driver, the actual pile driver.
But they pulled it off. That's all that matters. They didn't hurt
exactly.
They didn't hurt the other.
They're professionals, and then they talked about it in the ring. So
exactly.
What are you gonna do? But anyway, this isn't that. We're talking about the Undertaker right now. We're talking about the Undertaker. I don't even know what you would call this. Just the Deadman character. You call this the reinvention of the Deadman character. This is where I want to talk about the WrestleMania streak, because I think you can't not talk about the rest. You can't not talk about the Undertaker when you talk about WrestleMania. God damn it. All right, a little bit of technical difficulties, but your boys are back. Don't worry about it. WrestleMania streak time. Let's talk about this because I feel like that's when the streak really kind of came into prominence. Yeah. They did mention it like in the later American Badass era, but like this was when people were kind of stepping up to Taker to try to take the streak. So I mean, early matches.
Do you know who his first one was?
Snuka, I believe, right? Yeah. So
look at you.
Let's see if I can do it. Let's see.
Definitely not.
Snuka. I know Jake the Snake Roberts was in the mix. Definitely. No,
you should be doing. You should be going in order if you're trying to prove something.
I'm not trying to prove anything to you.
Well, obviously you are.
All right, so is it not Jake the Snake?
I don't know.
Oh, you motherfucker. But guys like Snuka, Jake the Snake, Diesel, Giant Gonzalez,
Yokozuna.
No, Yokozuna wasn't. He never WrestleMania Street.
It was always like SummerSlam.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Big Boss Man, Kane twice, Triple H 3 times, Shawn Michaels twice, Punk. Punk
one was interesting.
I like the Punk one, and when you watch the Mortician Paul Bearer documentary, I guess it must have been a DVD, and they were just like, let's grab it, put it on the network, and then do it that way. They talk about that, and they talk about how like Paul would have loved that. To have a whole WrestleMania match
based around him.
Yeah, absolutely. He would have loved that shit. Absolutely. So, and that's why Kane and Taker were like, yeah, that's actually some good shit. I like that.
Yeah, because I kind of feel like they had to
address it. And they had to kind of do something.
Well, that, and I kind of feel like Punk had to go to Kane and Undertaker.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And obviously, the
family.
Yeah, sure. But like, I kind of feel like Taker and Kane like were the ones that Punk had to go to be like, yo, do you guys think this is gonna be cool? Like,
But I like that match. I know you're a little cool on it.
I'm a little cool on the whole CM Punk thing, like CM Punk in general.
Let's not get started with this. But okay, well, but that was the last Taker win.
Yes.
At Mania before it got broke at WrestleMania 30 with Brock Lesnar, and that is you remember where you were at that time.
Yep.
And I
specifically
those
remember
come
where
too
we were.
few and far between.
Yeah.
And I know even like guys like Paul Heyman were like, you could hear a pin drop, and the last time he heard or was in an event like that was when Bruno Sammartino lost the title.
Right.
At the Garden, like you don't get that a lot.
Yeah.
But for better or worse,
the
streak was broken. He's had WrestleMania matches since then with Roman Reigns and Bray Wyatt, pre-Fiend Bray Wyatt.
So that Bray Wyatt match, man, they got fucked.
I agree.
They
were outdoors. It was light.
It was way too light.
Yeah.
Like, we're not even talking like, dusk. We're talking like high mid-afternoon.
I think like one more match would have been sunset.
Yeah.
But what are you gonna do?
That WrestleMania did come the famous line from me. Everyone shut up, I'm doing math.
Oh yeah, well, that was a good timeline.
Yeah.
He's done matches, like I said, with Roman Reigns. That was another loss he had.
He's only technically lost?
At Mania
twice.
Correct. Yes. And then more recently at this last WrestleMania, the 2-day one with the Boneyard match. One of the first fully cinematic matches.
Honestly, man, going back and rewatching that.
It's fun.
I showed that to my brother because my brother didn't watch Mania. And he's just like, this is amazingly ridiculous.
Oh, sure.
He's like, I would probably be more inclined to watch WWE if it was it was very Lucha Underground.
Absolutely, yes.
Like,
they leaned into the silliness, quote unquote, of wrestling.
Exactly.
Of having a man who's been buried alive, set on fire, put in a casket.
Yeah.
And here he is having a match with the phenomenal one AJ Styles.
I did like who apparently the two of them are like best friends and they go on vacation together.
Sure,
apparently.
they're probably a little.
Well, no, because
they met each other at some point.
Undertaker's friends with one of AJ's friends.
Did we see something like that?
Yeah, I think it was on the last ride.
Right. Oh yeah.
Then they became friends.
So that works. The Phenom versus the Phenomenal.
Yeah, because which oddly enough, both guys, you wouldn't think Undertaker, but very into religion.
I believe him. He's a good country boy.
But it's just you wouldn't think of that as
a satanic.
Exactly. That's what I mean.
Any highlights in the streak that you want to talk about, or even any of his WrestleMania matches? I know I'm a big fan of the Orton match, and I feel like that was probably the one that was WrestleMania 21.
Okay.
So we're just talking about just. I mean, I like this whole feud, and they talk about that again on another thing of I think it's like WWE Untold, where they talk about Orton and Taker and that whole feud. Basically with the streak leading up to, and then having Hell in a Cell matches, casket matches on SmackDown or the SmackDown brand. But I liked his match. And that was one of the times where you saw someone not Kane, quote unquote, give Taker or try to give Taker a tombstone.
Okay.
I believe. And then Orton does this one cool spot where he goes up for a choke slam and RKO's him. Cool match. I like that. I like the Legend Killer gimmick.
Okay.
Especially cocky Orton.
Sure. I mean, one of my all-time favorite Undertaker feuds, and I feel like it doesn't get a lot. It does get a lot of love, but at the same time, it doesn't. Is Undertaker Edge?
Oh, I agree. Another WrestleMania match. That's great.
Oh my,
yeah, that's a great
Charles
WrestleMania
Robinson just running down that floor. That fucking.
That's a good feud. Yeah.
That was a great feud. I mean, that might be one of my all-time favorite Undertaker feuds.
Him and Edge? Okay.
Him and Edge? I mean, I'm big Edge fan.
Yes.
Like, you know.
Especially like that Edge. Like that was a good Edge.
Yeah.
Rated R superstar.
Because
Edge.
then I think that obviously Taker wins, he gets the title from Edge. But then I think they met again at SummerSlam later that year. Was it Hell in a Cell?
No, they do.
It was
SummerSlam
SummerSlam
match.
Right.
Yes.
And he choke slammed Edge to hell, and Vicky Guerrero screaming.
Yeah. There's fire and shit. Again, theatrics. We love that shit. Like,
but him working with Edge, give me every day, all day.
I agree. I like that.
But yeah, I mean that's just great. And honestly, as much as I mean, the WrestleMania 30 match is garbage because he was concussed, like beginning of the fucking match, because that's what you get for working with Lesnar.
So you're right, and that's where I think kind of I don't want to say the wheels came off of the character, but like. Yeah, once it was the like
mystique
the little bit of
went away.
You know what? Yeah, and I don't know if it was necessarily him losing the match because it's all phony baloney, it's all make believe.
Sure.
But at that point, he was only coming out. They were only wheeling him out for WrestleMania, which again is fine. But
is that the one with the hands?
No, that was 29.
Yeah. Okay.
But. That's when I think the wheels started coming off a little bit. And then this Undertaker that we see, the one that comes out in like the hood, or he comes out to Johnny Cash and he's trying to ride a horse or some shit. Like, that's not my peak Undertaker. My peak Undertaker was the one we talk about, Deadman, you know.
Well, you also got to remember WrestleMania 9 when he was wrestling Johnny Gonzalez.
Oh, he came riding a horse, yeah, you're right.
No, a chariot.
Oh, yeah, chariot, I'm sorry, yes. Yeah,
with a vulture. Yes, like, I'm sitting there watching this shit, and I'm like, you've got to be shitting me. Is this really fucking happening?
It's what it is. He came down to his bat, he fucking rides a motorcycle, you know.
Yeah, I remember one Survivor Series, he chased all of the Alliance with the motorcycle.
Sure. Because he's the Undertaker.
You know, with how big of a name he is, I'm surprised he didn't really get involved with the whole, like, ECW, like the one-night stands at ECW one-night stands.
He's probably above it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, he never touched ECW, did he? Yeah, just
WCW
and
just WCW a little bit,
WWE.
Smoky Mountain or whatever the fuck, I don't know, some other smaller territories. Right.
But fun fact.
Okay.
One of his first tag partners was Sid Vicious.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
at WrestleMania 13, he beats him for the WWF Championship.
Yep.
So
there
you go.
Weird match.
Yeah. There you go, another streak.
Sid Vicious just not good. I'd never say that to his fucking face.
Oh no, of course not. He's the ruler of the world, so what are you gonna do?
He's a ruler of the world.
But I think so you kind of touched upon it earlier.
Mm-hmm.
If I leave it in, we'll find out. As far as the gimmicks go with Undertaker, we want to talk about Zombie Mortician Man,
Cult Leader,
American Badass / Big Evil. Or
Johnny Cash.
Rebirth, Deadman. How would you put it?
It goes American Badass because, one, I love the entrance music.
Sure, yeah.
Limp Bizkit, come on.
Limp Bizkit, he had fucking Kid Rock.
Yep.
Disturbed, too, I think they did a song. What was the...
Disturbed did Austin's. did one of Austin's.
I don't know. Someone did. Maybe it was a Jim Johnson thing.
Yeah.
But, you did it now. We'll probably watch it when we do the Buried Alive match.
And so then I think it goes American Badass, Cult Leader, Rebirth,
right,
and then Zombie Mortician.
Zombie man.
Yeah.
I probably do like the Rebirth. Even though I don't like this newer Undertaker. I like the gimmick. Don't get me wrong. I dig it, but him built brick shithouse, ready to fucking fight and kill people. Yes, I'm all for that. Then Cult Leader, because of the gimmick.
Yeah,
I just dig it, even though he didn't do fucking really anything with it.
No,
I feel like the Ministry of Darkness could have been a lot better. But I love the idea.
Just fucking burning his symbol on Vince's front lawn, which
exactly.
Yeesh.
What are you talking about? Then I'd have to say American Badass, which I like, but on average, I think fully. And then because of just complete ignorance,
Mortician
Zombie.
So you were saying you feel like the WrestleMania 30 is where the wheels kind of...
Yeah.
I kind of feel when Sim Snuka dropped him on his head is when the wheels started falling off.
You know what? That's a
WrestleMania
25. That was 25. And you know,
that was the second Shawn Michaels or first? That was the first.
So a lot of people do talk about that WrestleMania match a lot. I think that the streak he had going back, so WrestleMania 20 when he came back was versus Kane, second time. Fine, whatever. It's the return of the Deadman. Cool. 21, Orton. Love that match. Great stuff. 22, casket match with Mark Henry. Casket match, gimmick match, big boy, whatever. Monster of the week. It's Mark Henry, future Hall of Famer if he's not already. I think he is. Maybe he was supposed to be inducted this year. I don't remember. I think he is.
There were a lot of people that should have been inducted this year.
Sure.
Which
I'm pretty sure Mark Henry is a Hall of Famer. Don't quote me, but I'm probably right. WrestleMania 23. Shit.
What are we going for again?
I'm just trying to think. WrestleMania 23. Fuck. I don't know. And it's probably a pretty good match. WrestleMania 24, though, was him versus Edge. World title. Great match. Great feud. 25 was when him and Shawn Michaels first squared off, brother.
Fucking just.
Since fucking the casket match in 98.
Where Michael...
That's where Michaels
broke his back.
Up. Yep.
Broke his back.
People love that match. I think it's a little slow. I love like 26 more.
Yeah, was 26 the one where he came down as like White Undertaker?
No, that was 20, I think 25 was he came down as White Undertaker. Yeah, and then he might have done it again in 26. I don't remember.
Yeah,
but that was obviously Shawn Michaels' retirement match, quote unquote, until Saudi money comes knocking.
Yeah, and then I remember they tried to bring in like this one person, this one guy. What the hell, Mordecai? Who's like anti-Undertaker,
trying to do a monster of the week. There you go. It doesn't work out.
And I remember Undertaker was just kind of like, "We're not doing this."
Sure. Yeah. No,
it was ridiculous.
But so the two Shawn Michaels matches people love. I like the second one more than the first one, like we said. Then you got two Triple H matches, which are like, right. Triple H always has to have this whole like, you did it, I'm gonna do it better.
Yeah, I mean, I am a Triple H mark.
You are a Triple H mark.
I honestly think he's really good, and I'm not saying that just to be an asshole. I'm saying that to because that's how I feel.
Undertaker versus Batista. That's 23. I'm a fucking idiot. That's a good match, and that came on middle of the card.
And yes, Mark Henry is.
Mark Henry's a Hall of Famer?
2018.
Okay. There you go. We are you just heard us, Nation, do research
live,
and both of us at the same time. Right? So that's got to be like, you got to give us twice as much credit.
Exactly. It'll never happen again for the rest of the year.
So the two Triple H matches again are what they are. And then him fighting CM Punk.
Yeah.
Which I like.
I actually have to see that match again because I don't remember where I was, but I'm pretty sure I was fucking drunk.
I don't know if we watched that together.
We must have.
We'll talk that. We'll talk about that off air. But I think I know where we were now that I'm thinking about it.
My gun coat?
Boy? We'll talk about it off air, like I said. But Shawn Michaels. Undertaker. Fuck Shawn Michaels. Get the fuck out of here, Shawn Michaels. You still got a career. Undertaker is over. Done. Rest in peace. We'll probably see him every Mania. I don't fucking know. Tommy, I posed this question to you after. And we're going long. Well, it's Undertaker, baby.
It's the Undertaker. You gotta go
30
long.
years? I think we can squeeze in a couple more minutes.
Yeah.
If the Undertaker was not, quote-unquote, retiring, because we don't really know if that's happening, He's done many farewell tours before.
No, this is the first time that they're actually calling it a farewell.
Well, this is the first time they're doing it. But when he put his shit in the ring after Roman Reigns beat him,
well, yeah,
and they ended the pay-per-view.
Well, that's because when anyone beats,
and then he showed back next pay-per-view.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, so doesn't matter. But anyway, if he was a full-timer, or even like, you know, not necessarily a part-timer, you know, he was doing he had a couple more dates in him. Maybe he was a little more, you know, younger. A little more younger.
He's not that old.
True, but a little less beaten down.
Wrestling
How about
years.
That? Who would you like to see him feud with?
Another...
I think, yeah, the elephant's in the room with this one that I think you're about to mention. Say it.
Another guy who, if he wasn't broken down a little more, and maybe, you know, maybe a little younger and such, Edge. I would love to see another Edge and him.
Not already. Come on. Give me something else. Give me something different.
But
I thought you were going to say The Fiend. Because I think
they've
that's...
done it.
They didn't do The Fiend, though. Like, I feel like The Fiend is a reinvention of Bray Wyatt. It's basically a new character.
Him and Drew.
Okay. And I know Drew was fighting for that, too.
Those two big boys could have... The way they both move,
sure,
they both could have...
In Taker's prime, maybe late prime.
Yeah. They could have a...
I agree.
They could have a good match. As for The Fiend... You see, yes. But I would like to see them somehow work in, IRS.
Oh boy!
Like I would like to see how some because they were out.
You want to take them to the firehouse?
Taker and Taker
Firefly Funhouse.
Yeah, Taker and IRS were allies at one point.
Right, yeah.
So I like that would be very interesting. Yeah.
I think Finn that he could definitely do with a
Finn if he wanted to do the Demon King anymore. Which he does not want to do. He doesn't really want to do Demon King anymore.
Right. Well, I mean, especially how he's doing shit right now in NXT.
Well,
cool guy Finn. Well, again, yeah, he's kind
the
of
way NXT ended this week was pretty good. But
who else? Any other?
Adam Cole,
other names? Adam Cole? Yeah, you would think.
Dude, you could put a turd against Adam Cole. I mean, shit. Pretty sure they have.
I think if you wanted to elevate a guy like, you know what? I think Seth would probably be a good. If you want to see a new,
doesn't need it.
I know he doesn't need it, but if you want to see a new Edge versus Taker feud,
okay,
I would say have it be Seth versus Taker.
I
Seth
think that.
can run his mouth.
I'll allow that.
You could basically you could just pull out Edge circa 2008, whatever it fucking was, and throw in Seth Rollins circa 2020, and you basically have the same feud, if not better.
Okay.
Maybe worse, I don't know. Don't quote me.
Another one, and again, this is it's another big, tall boy, Damian Priest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's got like that spooky stuff.
Yeah. So, I mean, what about you? Any others?
I'm trying to think, like, I mean, a guy like Keith Lee, I don't think really would be very compatible with Taker. I mean, you would say that about guys Brock Lesnar then. It wouldn't hurt, don't get me wrong, but is it something I am dying to see if I can only pick a certain amount of people to work against The Undertaker? Who would I pick? I'm even trying to think of the fucking main roster right now, and I'm like, you know what? I really don't know. Outside of the WWE, that system, we never got a real good Jericho-Taker feud. They laced up here and there, but they never went the distance.
When Jericho, I think it was Jericho's one of his last stints when he came back where he wasn't talking, and they were playing the vignettes of of the apocalypse. A lot of people thought that was Taker because Taker was out,
right? But I think outside of the WWE system, Jericho.
Outside
outside. I mean, we're ignorant to anything in Japan or Mexico or anything like that. But I think again, maybe even having if Taker was 5 years younger versus Jericho now, I think that would be good because you have two guys who apparently worked very well together back in the day, and they are measuring sticks in their respective companies.
I got two from the other company.
Okay.
Brian Cage. Because he's a big boy who can move.
Okay.
Cody.
And Cody, yeah. I think that would be pretty good, especially with having like...
Did Taker and Dusty ever cross paths?
We were looking at it right now. Like they had a couple Survivor Series matches with each other, against each other. So, like, you know, their paths crossed. They never really feuded, at least to my knowledge. Right. But there is history, don't get me wrong. Because, like, I'm sure Cody, in the same sense as Orton, was hanging out backstage and saw Taker, you know what I mean? Like
I'm not gonna say Gold. I'm not gonna say Dustin Reynolds because I'm pretty sure they've had matches.
That's a good question.
Maybe at like house shows or in your house.
They probably tangled up because again, Goldust coming up was a weird character. Right. So let's just throw him in with Taker.
Because Mankind was hooked up with Goldust for a bit.
Sure.
At the point when Mankind was hooked up with Paul Bearer.
Okay. Because again, they do that shit. They kind of just gravitate the weird characters like that.
Yeah,
that's why I think the Fiend or the Demon King Finn Balor would be a good match.
Yeah, and we know Taker can have good matches with small guys.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Because I mean, Finn has like the same build as Michaels back in the day.
Yeah, same Adam Cole, same thing, like you said.
Absolutely. Adam Cole to me is just like Michaels reincarnated. Sure. He really is.
I mean, people said that about AJ Styles too, so
yeah.
And he had that match with them last year or this year.
This
has been a long year, Nation.
Yeah, just like how this WrestleSpecial has been.
So let's pull the fucking plug.
But you know what? It's for the Undertaker.
It is for the Undertaker. You're right. Any more Undertaker memories, Tommy?
Oh,
go ahead.
No. So they're making I mean, obviously because it's the Undertaker and it's 30 years, but never mind. My brain. No.
Oh boy.
What I was about to say would have made no sense as I was starting to talk.
Why stop now?
Because I'm trying to better myself.
Oh god. Why start now?
Because
you're in your 40s. Who cares?
Because I have started my second life.
Oh lord.
So I'm trying to better myself.
So is this the American Badass phase of Tommy Cash, or is this Deadman returned?
We don't know yet.
We'll find out, Nation.
I gotta.
Vince Russo will come back and script it.
God, don't let him script my life.
So,
Nation, that was a
hell of a WrestleSpecial.
That was the Undertaker.
Very special WrestleSpecial. Two men talking the shit
about another man.
Shooting the shit about another man. Isn't that what the world's all about? That's what your boys are all about. And your boys are all about talking about The Undertaker. In case you didn't know, for the past 40
By the way,
minutes.
the eye roll was an accident.
Oh, yeah?
I forget who he had in the corner. And, like, he comes up, and, like, Earl Hebner saw him with the eye roll. He was like this, and like, Earl Hebner goes back to, he goes, that has to happen more.
Well, fun fact, he was originally known
Why'd you just sound like Christopher Walken?
Fun fact. He was originally known as Kane the Undertaker. Yes,
interesting.
And they only had that a couple times.
Kane, as in the way Kane is spelled, or as Kane and Abel?
I don't recall. But that does come back. And according to the Brothers of Destruction documentary, that was actually Kane's idea to call himself Kane. Weird sentence I just said, but they wanted a character called Inferno, and that would have been the character Kane. And then Kane was just like, what about Kane? Because it's like the brother, the famous biblical brother, Cain and Abel. And then they were like, hey, that's pretty good too.
Right,
and he also came down in a cape at one point.
I was going to say, there was a short...
Yeah.
Very
probably
short
like a house
time.
Show or something like
he
that.
came down in a cape with flames on it.
Yeah.
And it looked ridiculous. And you could... Granted, Kane, at that point, was wearing the full mask. You could just tell he was just like, what the fuck am I doing?
Right, yeah, let's put a cape on him. That's my go-to Vince voice. Any more Taker fun facts? He's
married to Michelle McCool.
That is a fact, yes. But that's it, Nation. I think that's it. No more fun facts of Undertaker. Undertaker, thank you for your career.
Thank you, sir.
Now we'll get you on our podcast because I know you're doing the rounds. Hit us up, like Tommy said, rudeboy6969@gmail.com. Nobody else email us. Only the Undertaker, Mark Calloway. And we'll talk about, a cameo. And we're not going to spend $1,000. You talk about us. Come on, we'll talk you down. You scratch our back, we'll scratch yours. That's all we got to say about that.
Christmas season's coming.
Yeah. Giving. The season of giving.
Yeah.
Mark.
So
may I call you Mark? Mr. Calloway?
Mr. Calloway.
Mr. Taker?
Mr. Don't Tombstone Me?
Yes. Please.
Actually, you know what? Undertaker, you do.
I'll give you a tombstone right now.
You do our show. I will let you tombstone me.
You know what? Tom will do the job.
I will let you tombstone me while my co-host films it.
Okay. Well, all right. Yeah. Thank you for letting me do that.
Well,
yeah. Tom has
hey,
creative control clause in his contract. He will do
whatever
the right thing by you, Mr. Taker.
Yeah.
The right thing for business, and he will lay down for you.
I will.
Right?
Yeah.
It's an easy payday. You can come in. 5 seconds. Tombstone in 2. Count in 3. That's it.
But you gotta be in American Badass garb.
Oh, all right. That seems fair. So his normal fucking gimmick.
Right, I will take any wrestling finisher. Rock bottom, Stone Cold Stunner,
buy that
super
person.
kick.
But
buy that person, not by your ass. By said person.
Sure. So Tombstone, last ride. Go Plata.
Triangle death thing.
Death triangle.
Death. Where they spit blood up afterwards.
The Devil's Triangle.
Yeah.
So that's it.
So I call my ass
special. Oh boy. Thank you, Undertaker.
Thank you.
Again, we'll hear from you. And we'll hear from the nation at some point in the next WrestleSpecial. Happy 30th anniversary, Undertaker.
And enjoy your golden years.
This has been a presentation of the RudeBoyz Podcast Network.
Oops.